Hi, my name's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. So if you are here because you saw update 1 where I talked about my Sept injury, welcome back. If you're here because this is the first time you're learning about it, welcome to the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. After I made my first video, things just kind of got wild. A lot has happened and in a very short amount of time. A quick version of everything that happened in video 1, I got a shot into my arm which resulted in a shoulder injury related to vaccine administration. Couldn't really move my arm, still can't fully move it all the way, but there was a lot of pain and hardly any range of motion. I got an MRI that showed synovitis, bone marrow edema, and a labrum tear in the shoulder. Left shoulder. I was put on oral steroids for 6 days and didn't really see any improvement. That's where the first video stopped. I started getting chills and body aches and headaches, and I went into an emergency room and got tested for COVID and didn't have COVID. Even though every doctor wants to say you have COVID if you have any of those symptoms. I tested negative, didn't have COVID. I wasn't leaving my house, wasn't really doing anything because I was in so much pain all the time. So I knew I didn't have COVID. I started being the squeaky wheel. I was messaging my doctor. Doctors again and again asking, what's the plan of action here? Why am I not getting care? I need help. Trying to get someone's attention. Finally, after advocating for myself and feeling so just annoying for having to ask for help all the time, I got fluid pulled from my shoulder through an aspiration, which is just they numb you up and they put a big needle in and they pull out some of that fluid. You're supposed to be numb. I could feel a lot of it. Very painful. Horrible pain. That was a rough day. The synovial fluid that lives in your shoulder should be clear to a hay color or like a yellowish kind of tint. The fluid that was pulled from my shoulder, I asked to see it. It was orange. It was a dark orange, red, very cloudy, very disgusting. I saw it and I knew that's not right. And the doctor who pulled the fluid, his demeanor totally changed and he was like, do not leave Seattle. So that fluid was pulled on September 3rd in the afternoon. September 4th, I wake up to 2 missed calls, voicemails, emails, and I wake up to my boyfriend waking me up telling me that I had to have an emergency surgery that day. There was a high white blood cell count in the fluid that was pulled. In the first test, they were going to do multiple tests, but at any point, if there was something that was indicative of an infection, they were going to do surgery. And round 1, there was a ton of white blood cells, so surgery it was. I had an arthroscopy or washout where they take basically all the fluid of the shoulder out, swap it. It's like an oil change is how it was described to me. And the surgery itself was an hour long and I woke up from everything. I was okay. It's really strange during the time of COVID because the visiting hours are very strict and you can only have one person. So luckily they let you have a visitor once you wake up and get into your room that you're staying in for 1 hour after you've woken up so you can be with somebody. I stayed in the hospital for 5 days after surgery, receiving antibiotics. They were waiting to see if anything grew on the cultures from the infection that was pulled out to know what exactly it was. And on September 8th, I was given a PICC line, which is this bad boy right here, which I inject medicine into myself, or my partner gives me medicine 2 to 3 times a day. I've been on a couple different medications to treat septic arthritis. And I know what you're thinking because it's what I was thinking too. What the heck? Those times, those videos from my last video, were you seeing me where I clearly wasn't well? I had a septic joint, which is a huge deal, which can lead to sepsis of the blood, is sepsis of your entire body. It can lead to losing your joint because of the erosion and the infection getting into things, and you have to have a shoulder replacement. Luckily I don't. But I mean, come on! Why wasn't anyone taking this seriously? Why was I having to fight doctors on this and kind of be told that I was being dramatic? It was honestly this whole experience, 10 out of 10 would not recommend. The next kicker is there was actually a second hospital stay that I didn't really talk about. I'm talking about now, but on my personal social medias or to my friends, I didn't really talk about, but I was in the hospital for an additional 6 days starting on the 27th of September because I was having an allergic reaction to the antibiotics that I had to give myself 3 times a day. Why this reaction wasn't caught in my blood work? Why were they doing blood work if they weren't going to catch it? I don't know, but I ended up having really high fevers, horrible night sweats. It was not a good time. I was sleeping most hours of the day and I was reporting all these things to my healthcare providers but wasn't really getting anything. Now I'm on different antibiotics and I do feel less foggy in the brain. brain. I do have more energy. Obviously, like I feel like I'm doing better. I feel like I look more like myself. I feel more like myself. I'm sad because the arm still, doesn't fully work. So pray for your girl that it will fully work one day. I'm working really hard in physical therapy, go twice a week, and there is improvement here and there, and there's definitely reason for me to have hope that this is going to get better. No one can really tell me for sure, which is kind of a scary place to be, but I feel like there's reason for me to have hope. When I was in the hospital second time, I had a second MRI, which shows some like fluid in the bone itself. So we have to talk about what we're going to do about that. It could go away on its own. It could require like a small procedure or a bone biopsy. I have no idea. This whole thing has been crazy. I feel crazy talking about it. So many doctors, so many healthcare professionals, I've never seen this. I've never heard of this. And there's a lot of people who go through something similar. It is uncommon for the joint to get infected. A lot of times you do see like synovitis or fluid buildup, and it's not an infection. I think it has to do with like the specific shot that I got, but this is a problem. People are getting hurt, and I'm not anti-vax. I cannot stress that enough. I do believe that vaccines are saving lives. I do believe that they protect us, but I also think that maybe we can start using ultrasound guidance to make sure that every shot's going in the right place every time, so people don't have to go through what I've been through and what others have been through as well. I've been blown away, and I feel so lucky. There's so many people who care about me and who have reached out to me and who have like sent me gifts and just like let me know that I'm loved and I'm not alone. It's been a really rough like 3 months. Been tough. It's nice to be reminded that even when you feel really alone, you're not. And even if things are hard to talk about and it's hard to show the vulnerable side of you. I showed very little in my first video of like the very vulnerable parts where I was in a bad way. But even just showing that and being honest was very helpful for me. I hope that the last video and this video can help at least one person who's trying to figure out what's gone wrong with them after a shot, and reach out, ask me questions. It's okay. There are ways to cure this that aren't surgery, and there are different kinds of injuries when you have SIRVA. It's kind of a blanket statement or a blanket name. Something that really opened my eyes when learning about SIRVA is learning that it was more of a legal term than a medical term. So make sure if you're talking to your doctor, you're just saying that you have had pain after the vaccine instead of saying that you have SIRVA, because that doesn't really mean anything to them. I'll show you guys a little bit. I do want to keep some of my progress to myself for many reasons. I will show you what I'm able to do now. I'm going to show you the bent arm, which I showed an extended arm last time, but look at that. Rock on, baby! There is like a little bit of improvement. I have a long journey, but I know I can do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this update. I think I'm going to, now that I'm feeling better mentally and my heart and my spirit are feeling a lot better, I think I will go back to making YouTube videos because it's actually really fun and it's nice to feel connected again and talk to you guys again and be able to get information out without having to tell the story again and again and again and just have one resource that I can go to. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!